Hey guys, welcome to week 9 of Tin Whistle. Now this is a week that begins the music theory unit. So for the next 3 weeks, we're going to be exploring the different aspects of musical notation. So there's some overlap between these weeks, but we're going to begin that talk today. So as always, you'll begin your class by talking about the purpose of this unit. And so the purpose of this unit is for us to play, sing, understand, and enjoy God's gift of music. So everything we do, we want to just remind our class that and relate. So everything we do, we want to relate back to that purpose for our class and remind them what we're doing this for. So in the opening, again, you'll remind them of the purpose, and then you'll say, all right, now today we're going to practice our songs for week 12. We're going to spend about half the class today on that. And then we're also going to learn about musical notation and different kinds of notes. So we're going to begin starting with the musical notation. And in order to experience these notes, we're going to sing our song. So you can get out your copy of Dona Nobis Pacem. And just like we've done before, you'll sing up and down the staff. Now I'm going to lower this just a hair. So if you're noticing, I'm not starting on the correct note here, but so we'll sing do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, la, sol, fa, mi, re, do. And then we'll sing here, we'll sing through part 1. Do, na, nobis, pacem, pacem. You'll do this kind of fast. Dona nobis pacem. Now the itty bitties, you might do that a couple of times. But if your class can sing that, go ahead and go on to part 2. And if they need to learn it, then you'll do I sing, you sing. And if they already know it, then you can go ahead and sing through the whole thing. I'll sing through the whole thing just so that you know it. Do. Oh, and I didn't cue. Should always cue. So we'll go like this. 1, 2. Do, na, nobis pacem. Do, na, nobis pacem. And your cue off, your stop. Good. Okay, and of course, if you need to teach it to them, just sing a little chunk and let them repeat it and go back and forth. Okay, so after you sing the song, have a moment and go, wait, we had some longer notes and some shorter notes in that song, like da da da. Those are kind of some faster notes. And then we had longer notes, right? What were some longer notes? Oh yeah, that do na. Yeah, those were longer. So, how do you think composers write those shorter notes and those longer notes? So kind of get them to think like, oh, wait, I don't know. How would I write that? Then look at your music and notice that there are different kinds of notes. Huh, that's cool. And look, ma-dum-bum. These are kind of faster, da-da-da. And then I shouldn't say faster and slower, actually. I should say shorter notes and longer notes. So here are shorter notes, da-da-da. There's a longer note, da-da-da, da-da-da-da-da. So kind of notice the different kinds and then go, so this is cool. In musical notation, we have different notes and they have different numbers of beats. And that means how long they are. So on your board, have this written out. It doesn't have to look exactly like this. And I should put some lines in between here. These are the 4 kinds of notes in the CC guide. I would also add a dotted half note because it's so common. Dotted half note. And most students, if they take piano, which many CC students do, will already know a dotted half note. Okay, so have these written on the board. So then you'll go over the different kinds of notes. So quarter note, I'm going to say this backwards, so maybe write it in different order or whatever. Quarter note looks like this and gets 1 beat. Half note looks like this and gets 2 beats. And you can go on and on. 2/8 looks like this and gets 1 beat. Now for 2/8, it's 2/8 notes. So this is half a beat and half a beat. So together they get 1 beat. Whole note gets 4 beats, and then our dotted half notes gets 3 beats. Okay, so from here, I have given you a lot of ideas for activities. And the reason for that is because there's just a vast difference between the abilities of our students in the way that they interact with this information. So let me pull this up here. Oh, and I forgot to say, after you present the kind of notes, then also tell students about the staff. And I will give you some of this staff paper. So a staff is what we put these notes on. And when we put these notes lower on the staff, the note is lower. And when we put them higher on the staff, the note is higher. So when we sing da da da, our voices are matching the direction. And you could even pull out your music again and notice not just the different kinds of notes, but the fact that they're going up and down. Da 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 da. Let the students, even the little bitties, let them feel that direction and begin sight reading with some of this music like that. So by definition, a staff has 5 lines and 4 spaces in between those lines. A lot of times we use our hands actually. So 5 lines and 4 spaces like that. And then the treble clef is a special symbol that goes on a staff, and it tells you where some of these different notes are. So that's all we're going to say about staff and the treble clef. Later on in the upcoming weeks, we'll talk more about the letter names of the staff. But for now, we're just getting them used to the foundational pieces. Okay, so from here, like I said, there's a lot of different ways that you could go. For the abecedarians, I would suggest just practicing drawing different kinds of notes on blank pieces of paper. So you could give them all a sheet of paper and you draw quarter notes, and give them all another sheet and draw half notes, and on and on. For the slightly older kids, they can start practicing drawing treble clefs. They can also draw notes on the staff, and that's really fun. So you could practice, you could do this so many different ways. You could put different lines with different kinds of notes. You could let them totally randomly fill it up. The purpose is for them to understand that there are different kinds of notes and to begin practicing drawing them. So right now we're not talking about measures or filling up, making sure there's the appropriate number of beats in every measure or anything like that. We're just practicing drawing the notes. Whenever you draw a note, you always draw, see if I can do this backwards, the note head first, whoop, and then you draw the stem. And when the stem is going up, it's on the right side. And then when the stem is going down, it's on the left side. And there's rules for this, but we're not going to get into all the different reasons of when you flip it and that sort of thing. But just in general, get them writing some notes like this. Let's see. So you could go back to singing Dona Nobis Pacem, especially if you have a good singing group. This would be fun. So you could sing through and try the different parts and notice the different rhythms. Notice what it sounds like when you have one part singing these faster notes and another, I shouldn't say faster, the shorter notes, and the other part singing the longer notes. Also, I didn't talk about this before, but in the CC guide, they say to use the taws and the taw-ahs as you are talking about the rhythm. So when you see this one, you go ta. When you see this one, you go ta-ah, ti-ti, ta, ta. And I mean, there are humans that use that, but I have a favorite way. My favorite way to count these is to say quart, half note, 2/8, hold that whole note, and half note dot. I think it's a little bit easier and it reinforces the name. So again, quart, since you can't say quarter, just one syllable, quart, half note, 2/8 fast, hold that whole note, and half note dot. So if you have an older class, what you could do, this would be really fun, go through here and now sing the kind of note that it is. So go 2/8 half note, 2/8 half note, chord, 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 half note, chord, 2/8, 2/8, dot, dot, dot. We don't have it for that rhythm yet, so just ignore it. 2/8 chord, chord, half note, dot. Okay, so you could do something like that. Also, I will have a photocopy for you of this rhythm page. So if you wanted to just clap and chant, you could say, quart, quart, half note, quart, quart, half note, quart, 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 half note. Okay, so without singing, you could practice the names. So that is, those are many different choices. You could also look at some of the hymns that we're singing in morning time. If you wanted to pull those out and look at some of the different rhythms, you could. Again, I want to give you options here because the point is to interact with these notes and the staff and these names of these notes and the rhythm. The point is not to do a certain activity. So do an activity that appeals to your group and that is age appropriate. I have found that with this music unit, there is just a vast difference in the abilities of the students because so many students take private music lessons. And if they do, all of this stuff is pretty basic to them. And so there's usually a huge difference because if there's a student that hasn't studied, on the contrary, all of this is going to be new and hard. So you have to just kind of gauge your group. Okay, so I would suggest spending about half your time in the class on this part, on the notes, on singing and then interacting with the notes. And then the next half using this chunk to practice your tin whistle song and to get good at that. So again, as we've done before, you'll do kind of all the same steps. So pull out your tin whistle, remind them of the number 1 rule, and then go over how you hold it, go over the different positions and the instructions. So, okay, when my hand goes up, you're ready to play. When it starts to move, you start playing and then the stop. And then for the rest of your time, practice your class song. So if you have little kids, again, I suggest just doing I play, you play, either with simple rhythms or just the beginning of your song. If you have intermediate kids and you just want to practice the song, again, do I play, you play of the song. Advanced kids may be able to sight read their song or may be able to go ahead and play them. So just kind of find your entry level. If you want to split up the class, sometimes that works really well, or go outside and everybody play. So use that time to practice and really prepare for week 12. So that's the end. And then at the very end, just like we always do, take a moment to summarize what you've done and then connect it to God. So that's kind of interesting, right? Because we haven't talked about that. So say, today in class, we talked about the different kinds of notes. We talked about quarter note, half note, 2/8, whole note, and dotted half notes. That's really cool. So this might be a good time to ask, what do you think this teaches us about God and about his music? Are we just looking at a bunch of notes, a bunch of shapes? What do we think we learn about God? Might be interesting to see what they think. You know what I think? I think it's really interesting that God created music so beautifully, yet it can be organized down to the most minute detail. And when I should even say organized and explained. And when I look at creation, when I look at animals, or when I look at a landscape, it's just beauty. But when you study down inside to the biology, of animals and even like leaves, and you see just this crazy symmetry. And when we look at our cells underneath it and see so many complex systems that are organized, it's kind of like music, right? We're peeling it all away, and inside is this order that brings such beauty. And I think that just shows us that we have a God of order when you zoom in and look at him up close, but then when you step back, we're just in awe of him and his beauty. So that's what this music reminds me of. So this is week 9. So good luck in class, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye.